He talked a lot about the industrial workers of the world, and they've developed in 1905. Began with the Texas miners when they decided all workers in the same trade should belong to the same union, and they were brought together to bring about abundance for the workers and not the parasites. And dwindled after World War I with the Palmer Raids and the Espionage Act. And then briefly he talked about Attorney General Palmer. He says the first Red Scare where caused thousands of Unionists to be jailed and deported thousands of immigrant workers. The mass media is taking away the movements of people and trivializing them. He said as for getting in touch with our natural selves, we have to fight like hell to become back to our natural selves, who we really are, what our actual nature is. It's like you have to fight a war just to be you in this current society. And she was talking to him a little bit about civil rights movement and about Rosa Parks and how it's a misconception that they think that this is just some woman that was tired from working and just did not want to move from the front of the bus. But talked about, he said, oh no, she was trained at the Highlander School, the same school that Martin Luther King studied at, and mentioned that when they tried to attack King as a communist, that they said he was educated at a communist school, and the school they were referring to was the Highlander School, which was run by a preacher by the name of Miles Horton. And Miles Horton had a belief that any group of people that have a problem, this is one of many beliefs, but he did a lot of educating down there in the South, and but had this one belief, and Utah shared this story that any group of people that have a problem, sit in a circle for a couple of days, and you're going to find an answer. And it has to be just the people. So like even if you needed an expert to come in, say you needed a lawyer to come in and talk about the particulars of law, he's able to come in for a few moments and say what they have to say, or a couple hours, whatever, but then they have to leave. Because the actual problem solving has to come from the people. And that the experts could be useful in getting through to the particulars, but the answers have to come from just good old-fashioned common sense and ingenuity. It's just a brilliant thought. He talked about the music business. He said they fight with money, we fight with time. And it's a shame that we even have to do this, but that eventually we will overtake them. And he remained extremely hopeful, and says always reach for the best in people, and that there's too many good people out there here at the bottom doing good things to ever be discouraged in any way, no matter how dark the age that we're in seems, you know, that we're surrounded by good and great and wonderful people, and that if you look at the world from the top down, it's easy to become depressed and to see the control and the situation that's happening. But that if you turn your gaze and you look from the bottom up, you become hopeful, inspired, and encouraged by the activities of people. You can't be a pessimist with all these people there. And he also mentioned that any song you sing yourself in a mass market economy is a revolutionary song. It's just because it bucks the whole trend of the world, the way we coexist in this current environment. True throwback. He had told Ammon Hennessy, he told him he vowed not to engage in politics, and said use the belief system of Ammon, this anarchist Christian pacifist. My body is my ballot, and that he was voting with his body everywhere he went, and everything he did, he behaved as if he himself was the very ballot that of the change in the world, and it was his belief system. Johnny Cash at one point had asked him if he could do an album and sing his songs, and Utah asked him not to, and Johnny Cash said, "Do you know how much money you could make? You know, and how much good you could do with the money you make if you let me record these songs?" And he was in a hard place. A lot of people wanted him to go ahead and record these songs, and there was an event where he said he didn't want to feed that dragon, is the way he referred to it, And a lot of people were getting mad at him for not doing the deal. And then Father Daniel Berrigan was someplace, and he went just to see him, to get a hold of him for a few minutes and ask him for some advice. And Daniel Berrigan, Father Berrigan, said very quickly and to the point, he said, "They'll always tell you how much good you'll do with dirty money," and just left it at that and walked away. And it was that simple. And he didn't do the deal. And he said that he figured out through music, he learned the trade and how to make a living, not a killing. And he's been known to say that it's easier to get by being likable than just being talented. And he attributes a lot of his success to the fact that he's easy to get along with, and that that people like to be around him. Amazing individual. He spent time in Utah handling public records, and became quite immersed in popular antiquities and the stories of folks, and talked about the great crisis that a lot of these archivists are transferring this information to online, and that these technocrats are coming in there and bullying them into putting their information onto these databases, and that a lot of this information that was being held for many years has been deteriorated and is unsalvageable, or even worse, can be tampered with, and our own history can be rewritten as it gets transferred off of the paper sources and put into the technology databases to be fiddled with. A serious crisis to this. We're losing our books, and that these images were vanished, and said that in Utah, the paper was the best and most durable method to save things, save records. They held the longest, and that CDs and tapes, in some places tapes aren't even being are not acceptable form of archiving, because it bleeds through. The information bleeds through. So our information becomes temporary, and it's a great tragedy. And I guess speaks once again to the short memory and the short attention span of this current world. And talking about these real storytellers, it takes time. You need to invest your time and your mind into situations, and that everything is just not going to be flashes of quick sound bites. The 8 or 9 second sound bite, which we're so immersed in and so full of belief in. And then he had something interesting to say. This is 2004, so it was another election time, and very pertinent, I guess, as we come around here, and said that the time has long since passed in the campaigning and for the Democrats. He said they should be ashamed of themselves for doing this. They should have gotten together, made a decision who they were going to support, and put all their power into behind that person to win the election and to move forward, and put all their energy in as a unified front. And that it's a shame that they continue to attacking each other. And I thought that was quite profound and interesting, considering the current situation we're at. I mean, he was speaking 2004, and it's quite remarkable when you look at even just recent history, or history 100 years, or even thousands of years, and how the lessons they keep reappearing. It's amazing. So I was just enthralled by this man and his nature, and how his heart, and I just felt the need to share the loss of who he is. And I hope that if you know of him, that you've enjoyed having a moment to hear some of his ideas, and just spend some time thinking about him, and send out some compassion to his wife and 3 kids and his 2 step children, and just put your heart there over those folks in Nevada City, California. So that's how I'll leave it. And thanks for sticking around and allowing me to share. And I'm going to do a little looking more into some of the references that he brought up, such as Miles Horton and the Highlander School, and Ammons Hennessy, and maybe take a little look at the industrial workers of the world, and Father Daniel Berrigan, and those things that bear mentioning, and maybe unearth a little bit more of the archival, factual nature of the man known as Utah Phillips. Utah Phillips. And thanks for hanging out and sharing, and let's tell some stories and find out if we can kind of elongate that memory of ours. Thanks for sticking by.